There is a kind of perfectionism that makes your writing worse. It pins your story to the table and dissects it before it ever gets to live. You think you're fixing the sentence, but really, you're killing the momentum. You're stopping every breath before it becomes a voice. And if you've been opening the same draft over and over, changing the same paragraph, hating it, fixing it, hating it again, and never actually moving forward, this is probably why. In today's world, perfectionism seems like a valuable trait. We're constantly striving for better and more. Why not try to make something as good as it can possibly be? But there's a difference between making something good and trying to reach an unrealistic standard. We often set hard-to-reach expectations for ourselves. One example is expecting the first draft of our writing to sound polished and getting frustrated when it doesn't. The expectation that your writing has to be perfect right away can become a block that keeps you from even starting. Putting that kind of pressure on yourself can be paralyzing. So, can the expectation that everything has to be correct in the rough draft? In his book, On Writing, Stephen King emphasizes the importance of writing without stopping to make corrections during a first draft. He says, "Never look at a reference book while doing a first draft. You want to write a story? Fine. Put away your dictionary, your encyclopedias, your almanacs, and your thesaurus. If you don't know the name of the tool, call it a thingy. If you discover you've spelled a word wrong or used the wrong verb tense, don't stop and fix it. That's what the rewrite is for." It's important to remember that your first draft is for your eyes only. No one ever has to see it but you. Let this give you the freedom to make it messy and imperfect. One of my writing teachers called it the kitchen sink draft, because you get to throw everything into it, including the kitchen sink. This is the draft that is purely for you. Have fun with that. Experiment. Take the story in wild directions. William Faulkner talked about writers having to murder their darlings, but that's for the revision process. In the initial draft, you can actually indulge your darlings. Act on whatever wild impulses you have for the story. Clive Matson wrote a book titled Let the Crazy Child Write. This refers to letting the imaginative, childlike part of you write without censorship. This is exactly what a first draft is for. Note that nothing will kill creativity faster than screaming at that inner child to be perfect and putting pressure on them to color inside the lines. The inner critic may come up while you write. That's fine. Acknowledge this inner voice, thank it for its input, and gently remind it this is a first draft and it can be imperfect. Tell the inner critic it can come out and help during the revision process when you'll need its insight. It's important not to let perfectionism keep you from starting. Novelist Jodi Picoult said, "You can't edit a blank page. No matter how bad the writing is, you can always improve it and revise it, but you have to let it out first." The English writer G.K. Chesterton said, "If a thing is worth doing, it is worth doing badly." Or, as others have phrased it, to do something well, you must be willing to do it poorly at first. Your skills as a writer will improve the more you practice them, but you have to be willing to start and to write poorly. Embrace the mess. Let your writing be imperfect. Open up the floodgates and see what comes out. Remember, this isn't a final draft. Everything that feels wrong or uncomfortable or poorly worded can be fixed and changed. There is freedom in letting yourself write imperfectly. I'm working on the first draft of my first novel, and the only way to move forward is to let the writing suck. For me, this draft is just about figuring out a possible version of the plot, and most importantly, simply finishing a draft of the story so I have something to revise. I'm laying down the foundation. That's all. I'm not building the whole house. And what allows me to do it is letting the writing be subpar. There's also a kind of freedom in it. The freedom to be vague, to leave out details, to write boring dialogue, to do whatever it takes to push the story to its ending. I try to see everything in this draft as a temporary placeholder for something better. There is a famous aphorism that goes, "Perfect is the enemy of good." In other words, you can't create good work if you insist on perfection. In the pursuit of perfection, you bypass work that is truly good. Perfect is a state we will never achieve. And in trying to reach it, we sacrifice the good work we would otherwise have finished. Let go of perfectionism. I challenge you to accept the good enough or the good enough for now. It's a much more achievable goal than perfection. Kevin Kelly said,